And you were saying against the big boys, they were the ones that really struggle, which kind of brings us nicely onto one of the most unlikely rivalries of the noughties. You wouldn't necessarily think Stoke and Arsenal were going to be a big rivalry. You just think Arsenal are going to beat Stoke a lot.
Yeah.
But it didn't quite work out that way, did it? Wenger, not a happy bunny.
Not a happy bunny. No, it's interesting you say that because I was bred to not like Arsenal because it goes back to the 70s with some FA Cup finals, which I've definitely regaled Rob about in the past.
Yeah.
Like a ice cream seller getting given offside for a goal that should have stood. You know, we're not bitter at all, but that has been.
So I wouldn't know,
bred
mate,
into me.
because we beat them in the 72 Cup final.
You did,
so,
yeah, you did.
That's your problem.
But
not
he did
ours.
it 2 years in a row, and there's all sorts of problems, you know. So when we had the chance to play Arsenal, because we've not been in the league for 23 years, it's a long time. There were some old scores to settle, I think, and yeah, like you say, Arsenal, we're just the ones that stood for everything that we didn't really at that time, and the throwing in particular was they just couldn't handle with it. So in the first game against Arsenal, we beat them 2-1. Fuller, I think, was very early on ahead from a Delap throw-in, and then later on, you mentioned it, Rich, Olafiniana, he kind of like chested it down, a throw-in, and then like necked it in almost just over. It's just, again, just comedy. You cannot put a price on comedy like that. And we beat him 2-1, and of course, Wenger absolutely hated it. In fact, there's a great picture, a really iconic picture from my point of view from that game, with Shawcross in the box, obviously waiting for a throw-in, and all you can see is 7 Arsenal players in picture. So it's Shawcross and 7 players. It's like amazing.
It's like the Maradona picture.
Yeah, it's, like it's better than the Maradona picture.
I think there's something nice about how spoilt bratishly, if that's a way of putting it, that Arsene Wenger behaved about the whole thing.
Oh, he spat his dummy out, didn't he?
Totally spat his dummy out. You can have you can play like that. The way Stoke chose to play was the way Stoke chose to play, and actually, it was just someone had found a way to disturb and mess up Arsene Wenger's plan and how he wanted to play and the way that he saw football should be.
Yeah, yeah. But this is football. This is football. You can do whatever you want to do within the rules, and it might not be pretty. But if it's effective, then just absolutely do it. What I like most about the Stoke and Arsenal thing was sort of 15 years before this season, there was a big sort of re-emergence of buddy cop films in Hollywood, where you'd have one guy who was sort of sophisticated and slick.
Is that us?
Well, let's wait. And then the other side would be just sort of this slovenly, overweight slob with a long throw-in. And that's what it felt like with this. And it was always I loved this rivalry. I always thought it was just brilliant. Arsenal against Stoke was perfect.
It's brilliant that you mentioned within the rules there, because Wenger hated it so much that he actually petitioned for the rules to be changed.
Yeah.
Like,
He wanted to get rid of throw-ins, wasn't
he
it?
wanted to get rid of throw-ins. He said, the rule I would change would be to play throw-ins by foot. Why not? I think it would make the game quicker. And he said, take for example at Stoke Roy, that it's like kicking the ball. It's a little bit of an unfair advantage. Well, Arsenal, I would say it's an unfair advantage. You have £100 million worth of players in your team.
All right.